Right. Hi there. Good evening, everybody. So brilliant to see so many people climbing onto the call tonight. Tonight's an exciting one. It's our month end with some exciting news and announcements. So yeah, with no further ado, I'd like to just hand it over to you, Paula, our Diamond Director, right back from Toronto this weekend, and Kathy coming on shortly. Over to you, Paula.
Yes, Kathy's on. And I first of all, I just got back from Toronto late last night, and we had a regional event up there. In Toronto, we have a good representation of an organization in Toronto, and so as you know, we have a couple emeralds up there, and Judy and Murray and Carrie Dean, and a number of sapphire elites, and people that need to get to ruby, and people who want to get to diamonds. So, I always love going to Toronto, just like I love going to Africa, because I get to connect with people I really enjoy being around. And anyway, I was the featured speaker there, and I did a training on cracking the code. And, I wanted to talk today about one of the things that I trained on when I was in Australia. We were in Australia a few weeks ago, and also when I was in Toronto, I talked about it again. So it's just a little training tip I wanted to give all of you. And I know Kathy wants to do some back office things with you, but before we start, we did want to make an announcement, and that is that when Kathy and I were in Australia, we did, after the event, we did spend time with Lyndon Biernoff, who's a double diamond. We spent time with him and Craig Schultz, who's a diamond, at Lyndon's house. So we went to his house and spent a couple days there. And he has quite a wine collection. So as you can imagine, we had some good times, and drinking wine and eating pizza. And anyway, one of the things that Lyndon and Craig had approached Kathy and I on was the concept of doing a joint collaboration of his team and our team. And, they're called J-Fire, we're called the Global Partners Group. And, he wanted to collaborate for a number of reasons, and a lot of the reasons made sense. He's in countries that we're not in, and we're in countries he's not in. And there's areas where we could do a lot of joint things together. Like he's willing to help our team in India. And of course, we both work with everyone in Africa. But he has a good team in Lebanon. We have a great team in Greece and Cyprus. They're all close proximity. He'd be willing to stop by in Cyprus, and maybe we would stop by in Lebanon and kind of do some, trainings. And we happen to be strong in areas that he's not, and he's strong in areas that we're not, but together we pretty much cover the globe. I mean, in all the countries that we have business in. And because we have similar philosophies, we both have high ethical standards on how business should be built, and certain things that are appropriate or inappropriate. And so consequently, we really thought it over, and we talked a lot about it, and we've even talked a lot since we've been back. And we decided that we do a joint collaboration. And so Lyndon right now is in China. That's an area we're not in, we would love to be in. And of course, having, his visiting that area, him having a diamond that has a large presence in China would be an asset to us, because we could link in with them and start to, anybody who had Chinese connections, anyone who has Indian connections. He visits India obviously more than we do. So all of this would work well. And our leaders, Judy and Ian, have a fairly significant Indian team. So they were excited about joining forces, especially since Lyndon and Craig go there frequently. It's kind of on their same hemisphere. And at the same time, our leaders in Cyprus and Greece like the idea of collaborating and working together. And our leaders in Malcolm, who is building in England, and we have a business in Hungary. And there's a lot of collaboration that Malcolm could join in. So we had a conversation with our leaders, our Rubies and above. They really liked the idea of collaborating. And so what one of the things that Lyndon has that's a little bit different is he has a Facebook page for every country that they're in. And he has an international Facebook page. So he, once we agreed to do a joint collaboration, he immediately sent us links to the Facebook pages so that we could become administrators and start to.
I want to interrupt. He doesn't have it for every country. He has it for in many cases, it's a continent. Like he has J-Fire Africa. It's not.
That's what I mean. I'm sorry, continents. Okay. So anyway, what he sent us links for the Facebook. The challenge is the logo at the top of his Facebook is J-Fire. And so at the last minute, he had a Global Partners, which kind of came out kind of as a footnote. And we decided until the logo has been changed to include J-Fire and Global Partners kind of in equal size or equal proportions, we didn't want to send this out to our people because I didn't want to get all the questions about why is J-Fire's name bigger than Global Partners. And it's only temporary because they're changing. The logo is changing to make it more of a J-Fire Global Partner equal. In fact, he said, I don't even care if Global Partners is bigger than J-Fire. But in all fairness, we were waiting kind of until the logo was corrected. And I know Kathy's working on that along with Lyndon to put something together that works for both teams. It doesn't look like one team has been reduced or something like that. Although I don't think he cares as much about his logo and his team as we do, probably because his is J-Fire, which means Jeunesse on fire, lighting your dreams on fire. Ours is the Global Partners Group, which Kathy and I have had since the early 90s. So our team has been the Global Partners Group for a long, long time. And there's people who identify with that. There's people in our business who feel more global partners than they feel anything, even individually. So that is definitely a name that will that we want to make sure is prominent in anything that we do together. And so we talked about doing some joint trainings together. I do think this will be good because it'll give us more coverage in more countries. It'll give us a reason to share our trainings. He has some really, really nice people on his team. We met a lot of them in Australia, and they're great people. I mean, he has an emerald whose name's Angela. She's like a fireball. She's just an exciting person. She's got the personality to build a massive business in network marketing. She loves people. She's great. And so, we like Craig. We think he's a good guy. And so we thought maybe, you haven't noticed it as much in Africa, but there's greater competition in the Middle East, in India. Although I think Lyndon has the biggest team in India, but there's huge competition in Europe. And consequently, by joining forces, it would make us the biggest presence in all these markets. And so that was kind of a strategy as well. So anyway, you're going to see more of this. And I think I did see a temporary logo for Africa that said something like J-Fire Global Partners. I know Angela put it out. No, I'm sorry, for Australia, New Zealand came out, and it was just saying both names together. And we want to join you into these Facebook pages as soon as we can. It'll probably start to happen this week. But I just think it's going to be more collaboration and a lot more openness for Africa. If all of these meetings are that J-Fire has or that Global Partners has, that we work in conjunction with one another, I think it'll be a good thing. I don't know if Kathy had anything she wanted to say about it, but if you're on mute, Kathy, if you did.
Yeah, I got it on mute. One of the things that we also talked about is the fact, if you look at, now our group here in Africa is a little bit different, but if you look at our group in other parts of the world, we are a group of really strong women. we don't have, if you look, a lot of really strong guys at the top. Lyndon is just the opposite. His team is predominantly strong men. And we were talking about that because in our last business, Paula and I were master distributors, and there was a second master distributor. So he was a young guy with a family. We were two women. And I can remember one time he said to me, your team, you've got all these strong women. Why can't I get them? He said, I got a bunch of people with kids. I said, because you attract who you are. And when we talked to them, we talked about, Lyndon and Craig, we talked about the fact it would be good for our team to see a different kind of person as a leader. And it'll be good for his team. That's why we went to Australia. He asked us to come to Australia to speak at one of their events because he wanted his people to see strong women. So I think if we can make this work and we can all work together, it can be a really good situation because we can have, if we work with Craig and Aaron, we can set a schedule for Africa that somebody's always there. And because we're doing it jointly, all meetings are open for everybody. It isn't just we have our own little meetings. And one of the things that's important in a global network marketing company is that you appear to be a huge team in a number of countries, which we are alone. The Global Partners Group's in about 80 countries. Lyndon's in, I don't know, probably a few more because he's been in longer than we have. But between us, we cover a very large area. So we see it as a good thing. And we're working, like Paula said, we're working on a logo that will satisfy everybody and have both names in it so nobody feels like, it's going to take us a while. Okay, we're going to work on it, but we are going to share trainings. We're going to go together and do different Facebook Lives where we're sharing trainings. And I think in the long run, it's going to take us a little bit of work, but I think it's going to be a good thing for both teams.
The other thing too is, we have the largest representation or the largest organization in Africa. He has the largest in India. So, it's a trade-off in some of the things that we can do to help each other in these markets to have a bigger presence. So anyway, we wanted to share that with you. So that's not a surprise. And you can share that with your team as it starts to evolve. You'll hear more and more about it, and it'll just start. Hopefully it'll be an effortless blend. Most people won't really think much of it other than, they might see some additional trainers come, start doing our Facebook Live trainings and things like that. But anyway, one of the things that I wanted to talk about that I had trained on in Australia and I had trained on in Toronto revolved around a sentence that one day I just woke up and the sentence came to me. And I think if you take this sentence and write it down and then you put it into practice, it could dramatically change how you're recruiting and building your business. And the sentence was this: I am looking for a problem that needs a solution. I am looking for a problem that needs a solution. Now, this has been my strategy in my communication techniques with people. In other words, your business is built by people you know, referrals, which is huge. Referrals. I built a business in Europe based purely on referrals. I went to England not knowing anyone. This was back in the 90s. I didn't know anyone. But I asked everyone I knew in the United States, who do you know in England, who do you know in England, who do you know in England? They gave me names. I went to England with a list of names. I called the people up. I would say, hey, my name's Paula Pritchard. You don't know me. I'm a friend of so-and-so. And they would say, oh my gosh, excuse me, so-and-so, how are they? And I'd say, oh, they're doing great. So I had instant credibility because of a referral. And they'd say, how are they? And I says, they're doing great. And I promised them I would call you when I was in England. And then I would proceed to say, we're expanding a business here. It's done extremely well in North America. And we know it's going to do well here in England. And people that are involved on the base of this company have managed to make some significant income. And they wanted me to call you about this. Is this and then I stop and I say, is this something that you are interested in discussing further? Or, I gave them an opportunity. Remember how I teach separate the invitation, the presentation? I would ask them, is this something they are interested in talking about further? And they either said yes or no. And some said yes, some said no. And then the ones that said yes, I met with. Some said yes, I want to get in. Some said no. But 12 months later, that business was doing $1 million in volume every single month. After 12 months, going to a market where I knew absolutely no one. So I'm telling you, if you learn to communicate properly and you become an expert of the invitation, you can make an absolute success of this business. So your contacts exist of people you know, people, referrals, and then people you meet. And when you meet people, you strike up a conversation. And I want you to understand something. The person who asks the questions is in control of the conversation. So you always ask the questions. If they come back with a question, you answer it and then come back with another question so that you're in control. But the entire time that you're having a conversation, you're always thinking, I'm looking for a problem that needs a solution. So I'm asking things like, how's the job? I bet you love it. Oh, you hate it? Why? What's wrong with it? Well, if you weren't doing that job, what job would you be doing? Or how was your vacation this year? Where'd you go? Oh, they only gave you a week's vacation? Well, if you had more vacation, where would you go? Or you went fishing. Well, really, what kind of boat do you have? Oh, you don't have a boat. Well, if you could have a boat, what kind would you have? And so I'm constantly asking questions and gathering information. And in my brain is a file cabinet. And in that file cabinet, I am filing away what it is that they need a solution to. Do they need a new boat? Do they need a new job? Do they need a bigger house? Do they need more vacation time? Maybe they're landlocked and they love to scuba dive and they would love to go to the Great Barrier Reef off of Australia, but they only get a week's vacation. They can't get there and back. What is it that they want? And then at a different time, preferably later or the next day, I contact them and I tell them I've been thinking about the conversation. They said they wanted out of their job, or they said they wanted a boat, or they said they wanted more vacation time. Were they serious or were they kidding around? I think I got a way I can get it for them. When do they have some uninterrupted time I can run an idea past them? So that kind of, Kathy was talking to a downline distributor who was telling how she approached somebody. And, invariably, this is very common. I'm having a conversation. I'm thinking, how do I bring up my business? How do I tell them they could make more money over here? Not even knowing whether they need more money. Not even knowing if they want more money. Not even knowing if they're unhappy or dissatisfied, have a problem or anything. People are talking as if, how do I bring up my business and try to recruit them to come to a meeting? Without even finding out what it is they want. And then we wonder why they're skeptical, why they're standoffish, because people are interested in themselves. They're interested in themselves and their family and what's best for them. And that's what they're interested in. Anything outside of that, they're going to be skeptical. They're going to be cautious. So unless you focus on them and what they want and a solution to their issues, they're going to question your motives. So how do you know what the solution is? You don't until you listen to what it is they want. You're looking for a problem that needs a solution. Ask questions, listen. And then at a later time, not at that moment, because they'll be suspicious of you, at a later time, later that night or the next day, you come back and say you've been thinking about the conversation and you think you have a solution to what they want. You are looking for a problem that needs a solution. It will change your entire communication skills. I see people going out there and communicating with others in a very stupid way. And they wonder why they're not getting results. Because they're not focused on that person. They're not listening. They're too busy thinking about what they're going to say next to try to get them into a meeting or get them into a presentation or get them into the business. So that's my tip for today. I'm going to turn it over to Kathy because she has some things she wants to share in the back office. So Kathy, it's all yours.
Got it. Okay. So I'm getting questions from people because the company is in the process of updating their reports. They're in the process of updating the entire back office. Our back office is about 8 years old, 9 years old. And so they've added things and kind of, you know, how I don't know if it's like you have something and then you just keep adding to it, but you're not deleting things. Or like if you look at somebody's closet, right? They keep adding clothes, but they never dump the old ones. And so all of a sudden you've got all this clutter. That's what our back office is like. So they have made a decision to revise it. And it's probably going to be through 2019. It's going to take a while. So the things that they have done, I'm going to do a screen share. And I am using somebody's back office, but this person is no longer active. But they have sponsored people. That's always the problem, is to try to show a back office, you know, because you are showing people's information. But I wanted to share this with you because I'm going to run through the new reports very quickly to show you what they are. And then you have to play with them. And I'm going to tell you the ones I use regularly and the ones I don't waste my time on. And the reason I don't waste my time on those. So let me share my screen. This one. Okay, you should be able to see a report. Can you see this? Can somebody, let's see, nod? I'm looking at my other screen.
Yeah, we can see it.
Okay, so I'm going to go back and I'm going to show you where I am here. This is the reports, okay? Distributor reports, which are all the details, those have not changed yet. So really it's just this front page. So this happens to be the order thing. This is the new order thing. If you click on this, this is the quickest way to get all the information. If I click on this, it gives me how I paid, my back office, what was the total, that it has already been shipped, what the product was, how many I ordered. So that is your quickest way. And these are your orders, your personal orders. Then if I go to genealogy, this is the genealogy I use. This one is called a legacy. This was their old one. And you could only see about 4 levels at a time. And for me, I found that to be really cumbersome. So we were actually in a meeting once with Wendy, and I had brought her a picture that I had from our last company where you could see 20 levels deep. And so I had brought that to her and shared with her how we used it. So she went and they actually did that. Now we've had this and we've had it in the orange color. This is the new one. So what it shows is it shows both legs. This will zoom in. This will zoom out. Now I got to figure out how to get you back. Okay, so now we're back to normal. Okay, this will, if you click this, it will take you to the bottom of this left leg. If you click this one, it will take you to the bottom of the right. This will take you upline. This will take you to the very top. So for example, if this was actually me, then what I could do, if I was way down in here looking at something and I wanted to get back to myself quickly, I would simply click go to the top. This would go to the sponsor. Now the problem for this one is, well, let me do it this way. If I click on her, she comes to the top. So if I click Holly and now I go to sponsor, it's going to come back to Aaron Ashley. So in this way, I can move around pretty quickly. Or if I have the username, I can jump directly to them. When you click on a name, it will tell you, for example, in this case, it's telling you this guy needs to renew. He's a distributor. He has never sponsored anyone. So and he's not on auto ship. He's not on smart delivery. He's not qualified. He's just a basic distributor. Chances are he's probably not going to renew. This is your legend. I want you to look at this. This says, the blue means they're on the left leg. This means they're on a right leg. This means they're actually enrolled and in the business by her. So they are her personals. Bold site, like this one, means they are qualified, fully qualified. If this is on a page like this, that means that guy's on smart delivery. If it's bold, as this is, and with this, it means it's fully qualified smart delivery, which tells you this person's not, this person's not, this person's not, this person's. So you can look at this and very quickly figure things out. If you look down here, it tells you different things. If whatever their little thing up in the corner is, for example, if I go to, let me see, this girl here, and I click, she is a wholesale customer. Now, I got to say this to you. In the United States, if you have been inactive for 90 days, you haven't sponsored anyone, you haven't had gotten a new customer, you have not received a paycheck, you automatically go to you become what's called a wholesale customer. This woman is actually an executive, but she has not been active in 90 days, so her title is now wholesale customer. She still counts as an executive for this person. The reason we use wholesale customers is our regulators want us to have lots of customers, and the company has decided that they will use the wholesale customer concept so that the regulators can see more customers. But if this woman sponsors somebody, gets a new customer, or for some reason earns a check, she will go back to showing up in the system as an executive, not a wholesale customer. And this is in Canada also. This is actually a Canadian distributor. This is Canada and the United States. I don't know I don't know if you guys have wholesale customers or not. I think they're going to ultimately begin to use that around the world, but they're not using it here yet. Okay, so that is your regular genealogy. If you go down to the enroller tree, this is you personally. So this is who you sponsored. And it's really easy because you can take a look. That means she's on the, oh God, I can't remember offhand. She's on the left. These people are on the right. This will show you who's active. Again, we go to this girl. She's active. She is not on auto ship. If I click here, this means they have other people. If I click this, it takes me and I can take a look at her people. Now I know that she's got 2 people that are building, so then I could go to her. And then if I wanted to go farther over, I need to dump this. I can go to her. So I can work down the people I sponsored and find very quickly the people that are sponsoring. So it's a pretty easy deal. I use this probably, I use a genealogy, but I use this more often. It's just, for me, it's just easier. Cycles, this is where this is going to be empty because this girl, oh shoot, shoot. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing because I'm going to put her username and password in. So give me just a second. I got to think for a minute. Okay. Mailbox reports. Cycles. Okay, you can see this has not been updated and she does not have any cycles. So the fact that this hasn't been updated, I don't know if that means that they're looking at a whole different program here. I don't know. If I go down to commissions, this is where you can click here. I'm not going to do this, but you can click here. You can get a list of all of your commissions. If you click on one and click search, it will give you your sheet. You can see where you've earned everything that you get. Sponsorship, this is our sponsorship page. So this is my personal page. So
we can't do it sharing. Sorry, could you just share that one now that you're back on the page?
This one here?
Page. Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Yes, I will do that. Let me see how I can do that. I got to get to you again. Here you are. I got to put you out front. Share. All right, now here we go. You'll notice I got this on this is my screenshot. This is my vision board here. This is a cruise I want to take in 2021. So I keep it every time I open my computer, it's there. Okay, so this is what this is. This is the people you personally sponsored. I use this more than anything else. So this shows the name, the status. This status is a preferred customer. I means they are inactive, which means they haven't done anything for 90 days. R means they're up for renewal. So she has no one active because she is inactive. This shows you this person has no rank, that they are basic, they're a wholesale customer, wholesale customer, wholesale. You just click, you look at this and it's going to tell you everything. None of them are on smart delivery. If I go this way, it will go give me a little bit more information. This is the next page. This is their qualifying date. Okay, it is not necessarily their smart delivery date. Your smart delivery date is on your profile. It will tell you smart delivery date. This was the first time she did smart delivery. Okay, this is her anniversary date. This is when she will renew, but this is the smart delivery date. So reports, let me go back here. So we have the sponsorship. Now, this is when if I'm going to evaluate somebody's business, now this would not be a good example, but I would go through all of these people, and let me give you a really nice thing for this one. I don't know if we can do this yet. Okay, this automatically puts them in alphabetical order if I just click there. If I click here, it automatically puts them based on status. If I click here, it automatically sorts them into what leg they're in. If I click here, it puts me in qualifying date. Now, this is a really nice one for me because one of the things I always look at with somebody is when was the last time you sponsored somebody? And she sponsored in 2015 because she's no longer active. So I also like knowing what your current level is. Now, I don't think I can click on that smart delivery. I can't hear. You can do smart delivery dates. You can do current CV. You can do it with qualifying dates. Qualifying is the date, not the date that you joined. It's the date that you did the 100 CV and became a distributor rather than an associate. So, but that's not necessarily your smart delivery date. So this tells you right up front what she's got. And this report is, I use it a lot because I evaluate people's businesses. Binary information, I don't think I've ever looked at this one. I never pay any attention to this. And these are all hers, but if it wasn't, this would give me the reports for both sides of my thing. And I just want to give you a tip here. And these are the reports I'm going to show you today. And when we start going, I do want to show you one more thing before I talk to you about this. But if I go to distributor reports, okay, you can do earnings by level. You can do the founder's pool if you're a founder. You can do the number of cycles by month, which you should be keeping track of. Qualifying orders for your extra match. For those of you that are earning a match, you can increase that by having either 5 or 10 customers. Downline sales volume by country. Okay, now here's something I want to tell you. Anything that just says downline includes the people who have been placed in your organization down the right or the left by someone above you. Okay, we've been here 5 years next month. I have never looked at that report. And the reason I don't look at it is because I have learned over all my years in business, you can clutter your mind with stuff you can't control. So the people that are placed under me from people above me, I have no power over them, none. They're not my team. They're part of somebody else's team. I just happen to be earning on them. Now, if they come to me for help, I'd help them. But it's not my team. I never look at that. And I know there are people who spend a lot of time doing it. Of course, when I talk to somebody who spends a lot of time in their back office, you know what that tells me? They're not working. Because if you count work time, mulling over your back office is not working. Working is you're talking to people about the business or the product. That's it. That's the only work there is. So I would be careful that you don't get caught up back here. Enroller Tree Smart Delivery Report. Okay, your enroller tree is important. This is going to tell you who's on Smart Delivery. This tells you who's on Smart Delivery by month. This is the one I use most often, sales volume by enroller tree, because that tells me where my volume is coming from. So if I clicked on this, now this is not going to show anything and I'm not going to show you mine. So this isn't going to show you, but it would tell you if she had business in all countries, it would show you all of the countries. It would show you, and you go here and all you do is you say, do I want to show detail? It's showing me all countries. I can take that down to any one country I want. For example, we had a month where we had all this volume in England. And I'm trying to figure out, because I know who's working there and I kind of have an idea of what the volume is, but this was a huge increase in volume. So I went to London, to England, I clicked on detail and it gave me all the names, the usernames and all the volume. And then all I had to do was go into my enroller tree and find out who these people were and contact them. This is a really good one. And this is the only one that's going to give you any information about the people, because these people are actually in your team. So this is one that I use. Now, the nice thing for me is sales volume by enroller tree. I have this same report twice. And the second way, it lets me put in your username. And then I can look at where your volume is. And for a lot of people, for a number of years, I kept track every month because I wanted to see, when you look at your team, it would help me see if they were growing or not. So this for me is a really important one. The rest of these under distributor reports, I really don't pay a lot of attention to. For us, we don't pay a lot of attention to the promos only because we know what we have to do. It's really simple. Once you get to diamond, you qualify 5 months as a diamond, you get to go on the trip. That's what you have to do. So it's a pretty simple thing. We don't have to pay attention to the back. But these are all of the reports. This is where you find all that kind of stuff. So anyway, I just want, the way that I learned to use the back office originally was I took a Sunday afternoon, I went back there and I played with it. But you can get lost and you can waste a lot of time. The only thing that you should be paying attention to is your enrollment tree. Whether it's looking at your enrollment tree genealogy or whether or not it's looking at your sales volume by enrollment tree. Your downline is irrelevant. I have people who, they watch those points come in. I've been in network marketing 32 years. I have never watched points, ever. Because for me, number one, of all the times I've had somebody question points, I bet it would be 1/10 of 1%. The computer was wrong. They don't make mistakes. It's an automatic thing. So for me, it isn't worth the time looking at all that because it's a waste. If you have the time to do that, you're not working hard enough. And I'm just being honest. I don't have time to do it. So you have to look at the reports, pick the reports that are most important, and pay attention to those. Don't get caught up in all the minutia because it will take you off focus of what helps you build a business, which is talking to people. None of that, it just isn't work. Now for me at my level, it's a little different because I analyze some of your businesses. And if I find something that I think you need to know, I'm going to tell you. But I do believe you should know how to use those reports in the ones that are important. So that's my take. I don't, we're over, so I don't know if we have time for questions, but if somebody wants to stay and ask them, I'll stay on and answer your questions. But for those of you that have to move on, I understand that. Anybody? Okay. If you ever have any questions, just, contact me on WhatsApp and I'll be happy to answer them.
Kathy, thank you so much. That was absolutely fantastic. That was really great. And it's good also to know, I often think about those reports as well. You said, even though you look at those particular reports, someone like Paula, that's not a big thing. So thank you for reminding us that, although a sponsorship page, I think, Paula, you love, that it's really, to spend less time on it, but to actually know it, which is great.
The other thing that we need to remember is as they start to change them, I'll come back on and go through and show you what they've changed. But I really want to concentrate on the ones that will help you because, to be honest, most of them, it's just, minutia. You want to know what you made and you want to know who's working. That's what you want to know because whoever's working, that's who you want to work with. You don't work with the people that aren't working. You work with the people who are working. They deserve your time.
Thank you. And it looks a lot easier on the PC. I do a lot on my phone, and that is why you got a couple of queries from me last week. So it needs to get back to the PC, I think.
For me, I rarely go. Sometimes I'll go in if I'm on the road because I don't carry a computer around. But for the most part, if I'm going to just spend some time back there, I'm going to use a PC because it's just easier to see.
Thank you so much. I think everyone's also most have got your number as well. So guys, if anyone does want to know, Kathy, you don't have a problem with that. If there are any other technicalities, you've been fantastic. The same as well, yourself, Paula, thank you for your input with regards to asking the right questions, which is seems very simple, but it actually gives a lot of the answers that we're all looking for out there. If I can just remind the guys as well, we've got our meetings, 5 coming up for April, including Kenya, And the first one we've got is Johannesburg Tuesday, guys. So if we can really push it, because also I'm assisting Oliver while he's away. So big things are going to be happening there as well. And then of course Thursday, every single Thursday, it's a wonderful thing. The webinar that we've been building our businesses around with either Kathy and Paula or Ian and Judy, which is fantastic. And Johan will be, between Johan and myself, we're running the webinar setups behind the scenes just for April. And yeah, I think thanks to everybody for being on the call. And to yourselves especially, Paula and Kathy, always appreciated. Yeah, we did go over time, but tonight was a special one. And yeah, well done on the collaboration. I'm really excited. We've always kind of worked with J-Fire, but we haven't now. It's a really exciting collaboration that you've mentioned. So yeah, having said that, if there's nothing else at all, if there are any questions, perhaps just to put into the chat, and yeah, we can finish the call if there aren't any other questions. So thank you so much. Yeah, you should be unmuted there. Are you waving or you wanted to unmute?
No, I'm just saying goodbye, everyone.
Bye-bye. Thanks, everybody. Right, guys, thanks so much. Have a good week ahead.